Bobby Klink from Your Genius here. Wanted to stop by with this kind of Friday mindset tip to talk about a big shift that you need to make as an entrepreneur if you really want to set your business up for success over the long term. And that is that you have to start thinking about your business as a business, not as a hobby, not as something else, but as a business. Before we dive in, again, I'm Bobby Klink. I'm the lawyer and online entrepreneur behind Your Online Genius. I built this business so I can help other online entrepreneurs get kind of their legal protection in place, but also, help them kind of understand the different things they need to be doing to really kind of put the basic foundations in place so that they can have a successful business over the long term. So that's the point of the business. That's what I do. Today, I wanted to talk to you about this fundamental mindset shift that you need to make if you really want to have a successful business. Because if you don't do this, if you don't kind of shift the way you think about your business, it's not going to succeed. And now you're probably saying right to yourself right now, well, I already treat it like a business. I know it's a business. And what I'll tell you is for some people that might be true, right? Maybe you are, but a lot of people don't treat their business the right way in a lot of different ways. And I want to talk about some of those things. First, there's some chance that maybe this is your side hustle. And if this is your side hustle, and if you're not, full time in your business, there is definitely a chance that you're not actually treating it like your business. And that might mean things like you don't devote enough time to it. You don't set aside enough time. You don't block out time. And I want to talk, I know that's hard. I know that when you have a full-time gig, it can be hard to say, hey, I've got a full-time gig, but this side hustle I'm working on, I'm going to make it a business. I'm going to treat it as a priority. I get it. I'm actually, even though I have this business going right now, I'm dealing with it myself right now because I have a law firm business. I have a couple of cases that have come up out of nowhere. Resurrected from the dead is the best way to think about it, that are taking a lot of my time. And so that means I have to be very intentional about making sure that I continue to be here for this business. It means I have to block out time. It means that I have to be willing to say no to certain other things. Some personal, some professional. I have to talk to the people in my life, like my wife and my child, so that they understand, hey, this is a busy season. I'm going to have to be working a little bit more than maybe we would like. So you have to be willing to do those things. But the important part is you've got to block the time to do the work. If you don't block the time, if you're not willing to say no to other things, you're going to end up not doing the work. You're not going to treat your business as a business. It's never going to grow. It's never going to thrive. That's just kind of a reality of the way it works. If you don't commit to spend time in your business, it won't succeed. So that's kind of the first thing you have to do. And that's, again, I was talking about that as if it's a side hustle, but I want to talk for a moment about if it's not your side hustle. If you've already said, hey, this is my career, an important thing you have to do and a mindset shift you've got to do kind of once you get past the very early setup phase is you have to start thinking about things like working on your business, not in your business. We've all heard that phrase, but I think a lot of people don't really realize what it means. I can be honest, I didn't for a long time. I thought that, if I was doing stuff that was making money, that was working on my business. That's just not true. That's working in your business for the most part. Working on your business is doing things like, having kind of high level thought about what do I want to achieve. So the kind of visionary type of work of creating goals, et cetera. But it's also things like setting up systems, setting up processes, thinking about hiring, making plans to grow. You've got to do all of that realistically if you want your business to succeed. This is kind of a phrase that a lot of people have heard is that entrepreneurs often just make themselves a job. That's all they ever really do. They create a business, but it's not really a business. It's just a job for them. And what I mean by that is you get stuck in a rut that you are trading your time for dollars, right? You're trading your hours for someone to pay you to do something. And the problem with that is it's not scalable, but it's also not sustainable. And what I mean by it's not sustainable is once you have a business, there's all kinds of stuff you have to do that is not money generating. And I recognized that when I started my law firm after a while, because in the law firm world, there's this notion of billable hours, and most firms have this: you will bill 2,000 hours in a year. And so I thought to myself, geez, if I could bill 2,000 hours in a year and I bill myself out at $350, that's $700,000. I'm rich. Well, the problem is when you're running a business, you can't bill that much because you have to do all kinds of other things that are not revenue generating. You have to do the admin work. You have to do all of these other things. And a lot of entrepreneurs get trapped in that. They go out, they create a business, and they end up with a glorified job. They're their own boss, but they don't have any kind of way to really get out of it. And so it can be hard. So you have to be thinking about being strategic and changing things and working on your business so that you can kind of grow it and get out of that. Part of that is going to mean hiring people to do some of that stuff, et cetera. So you have to have those thoughts, but you need to set aside time for strategic thinking. I like to use time blocking. I like to say there's time each week where I'm doing high level strategic thinking. There's time where I'm doing things like, mapping out processes and systems so that I can hand them off. And then there's going to be time where you are actually, working to coach or mentor someone that you've hired, hopefully, or that you have as a contractor, et cetera. So there's all of those pieces in addition to the work and the stuff that has to get done. The next piece I want to talk about, and this is where a lot of people have a tough time, is you have to be willing to invest in your business. It's just a reality. I see a lot of people talking about this, and they basically say, they expect to be able to have an internet connection, a computer, and all of a sudden money's going to come flowing in. It's just not. Maybe it was like that at one point. Maybe if you want to be sleazy, you could get some people to come in. But realistically, that's not going to be sustainable. You are not going to be able to just have a business where you don't put money into it and it spits money out. When you start doing these things at higher levels, you're going to be looking at things like return on ad spend, or ROAS, as some people call it, ROAS. And that's like, okay, I put $1 into ads. How much do I get back? And you're going to be doing things like that where you're actually going to be looking at the numbers. And I'm going to talk about that in a future Friday kind of episode of this, where Friday Live, I'm going to talk about kind of how to do your numbers and think through them and what you need to be tracking, et cetera. But you've got to be doing that. And you've got to be willing to spend money. And it may not be on ads, right? Maybe it's not ads that you spend money on. Maybe it's that you need to spend money on a training course. Maybe it's that you need to spend money on a software service. Maybe it's that you need to be able to spend money on these things. And so, for example, a lot of people want to create an online course, but they don't want to spend money. So they want free options for hosting the course and for doing all these other things. And I get it. I'm going to be very honest with you. I understand that. When I was first starting, I didn't have money coming in on this business, so I didn't want to spend a lot of money. The problem is, I don't want to say you get what you pay for. There's some amount of that. That's not always true, but there's something to that. But more importantly, if you're not willing to spend some money on your business, there's a mindset issue that comes about. I saw this happen over and over again in free groups where people said, well, I launched this course and no one bought. And the funny thing is, I saw this happen in Amy Porterfield's free group, like a group where people could just go without ever having signed up for her courses. And I saw people talking about this. Now, they had never been willing to invest in any one of Amy's courses, but then they couldn't understand why people wouldn't invest in theirs. And I politely said to some folks from time to time when I saw these things happening, and I said, well, it seems to me you didn't invest, so you might want to ask yourself, why did you not invest? And maybe if you think through that, that will help you to understand why people won't invest in you. And I can be honest, for the first, year and a half that I was trying to do this online business thing, I said, I don't need to invest in courses. I can do that. I can get all I need from the free stuff. Guess what? I made no money. I made $0 during that first year and a half. Then I started to actually invest in myself and my education, not try to do things the cheap way, try to actually treat things as a realistic, you got to invest it. You got to put some money into it. And it's funny, when I did that, things started working. And now some of it was probably mindset. Some of it was probably I was learning things. But if you're not willing to invest some money in your business, it's not a business. It's a hobby. And even that, I mean, most people will invest money in their hobbies. I've invested a ton of money, more than you would like to know, in my hobby of brewing beer. I probably have $10,000 or more in investments in that. It's not really investments, but money I've spent to do those things. And so, if you're not willing to put some money into your business, you need to think about that and be honest with yourself. Is it really a business? And again, that may seem like a hard truth. And maybe, you're yelling at me right now saying, but I don't have any money. Well, okay, go out, find a way to save some money. I don't know if it's, get a second job where you make some money that you can just put away or what it is. But if you're not willing to invest some money for basic resources that you're going to need in your business, it's never going to succeed. I mean, what I'll just tell you is if you're not willing to do that, you probably should go back and just, stick with a job, get a job and stick with it, because you're going to have to make those decisions. I mean, again, I'll just tell you, I'm now in a mastermind that the investment was $25,000. I made that decision in December of 2018 that I was going to invest $25,000. To give you a sense, that was about 10% of the total revenue I made in 2018. I said, I'm going to make this investment in myself. Those are the kinds of decisions you're going to have to make if you really want to grow your business. And so, I just commend you to that. If that's something you're never going to be able to do, look within yourself. I think if you can't, maybe you need to go back and get a job and focus on that, because you're going to have to be willing to make those investments, take those risks if you want to have success. So that's kind of another important thing. It's you got to, invest time, you've got to invest money and be willing to do that. And then the last piece is the piece that kind of more relates to me, but that's, you got to set things up right. You have to be willing to get the legal stuff taken care of. You have to be willing to get the financial side set up. So again, I see people who want to just kind of do this and they're like, well, do I really have to get another bank account? Yes, you do. You should have a bank account for your business and a bank account for your personal. Even if you don't do what I really tell people to do, which is you should make sure that you have an LLC and a separate corporate entity. Even if you don't do that yet, at a bare minimum, your business finances have to be separate from your personal finances. If you're not willing to make that one basic move, you're never going to succeed. Because that is just fundamental. Again, it'll save you all kinds of time. It'll save you all kinds of money in the long term, because when it comes tax time for me, I've got a record of everything that was done in my business bank account. I give that to my CPA and he can figure out my taxes for my business. And again, I have to do some other things like, hey, I had these other expenditures personally, which are deductible for various reasons, but it just makes it so much simpler. Whereas I hear all these people talk about tax time being a nightmare for them because they have to go through their bank account, their bank statements, their credit card statements and say, well, what was a business expense? What was a personal expense? That's only bad planning. If you had good planning at a separate account for your business, you don't have to worry about that. So that's kind of one of the examples. Like you got to have the finances separated. You should have, a legal entity set up, and you need to be thinking about the legal side. It just isn't a reality. In our normal lives every day, we don't have to think about the legal stuff. Let's be honest, because most of the time we're not doing stuff that has legal implications. In your business, you do. And so you've got to be thinking about that stuff. And again, I don't say that to scare you. I don't want to, make you think that the sky is falling. People who know me know I don't do that. I resist it probably more than I should. I probably should be pressing pain points more than I do, but I just don't feel comfortable doing that, because part of what I believe my service to people is to be what I call a peace of mind guru, and scaring the hell out of you doesn't do that. Now, I've got to make sure you understand the risks, but I'm not going to try to scare you. But I'll tell you, you do have legal issues you need to face. You can deal with most of them quickly, easily, simply by just knowing a little bit about the law. But you've got to do that. You've got to take that step. And so you've got to be willing to kind of think through the basic legal and financial, setup for your business is kind of the last piece. You just have to, as a mindset shift, make that change. So that's all I've got for today. If you would like to learn more, to kind of hang out with some online entrepreneurs who are doing it right, who really are trying to make these things in it for the long term, you can join my free community. You head over to youronlinegenius.com/community. It's a free Facebook group. There's a lot of value in there. I often am answering kind of things about the legal stuff, but a lot of other people are asking questions that get answered by other people. Like we have some CPAs in there who answer questions. We have actually now there's enough people in there who can answer a lot lot of the legal questions, so I don't even have to, but I stick, I do. There's a question in there recently about, can you use a PO box for your LLC setup? And a lot of people chimed in and said, no, you've got to have a physical address somewhere. And so, you get that kind of information, but also support from people who are trying to do it right. And so I'd love for you to join. Again, go over to youronlinegenius.com/community. There's a few questions, answer it, and we'll let you in. So that's it for now. Hope you have a great weekend. I'll be back here next week with some more tips, some more legal stuff, some more business stuff to really help you kind of build and scale your business. Talk to you later.